makeup friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara. On my channel we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. We look to keep it sassy yet classy. Today I'm going to be sharing with you two eye looks using the new Juvia's QUADS. These guys right here. So this one here is the Melissa Quad, and then the blue one is the Disco Fever. You guys gave me so much love on the look that I wore in a couple of videos using this quad, and I have never received so many requests for a tutorial as I did on that look. So you're in luck. That is going to be in today's video, as well as the eye look that I'm wearing right now, obviously done with this quad. These quads, I believe, are currently sold out as of the last time I checked the Juvia's website, but I imagine they are going to restock because they're so damn good. They would be silly not to restock them. They retail for $10 each, but Juvia's constantly has sales going on. They also do have affiliate codes with certain creators. I will insert my friends right here. I don't have one, but feel free to use Angelica's. Alright, so I don't necessarily feel that I need to do like a full-on in-depth review because they are just little quads, but I do want to point out some pertinent information. So on the back of both of them it says that they are cruelty-free products, and both of them have a warning that these are for external use only. I mean, good to know, please don't eat your eyeshadows. But it does say to discontinue use if signs of irritation or rash occur. Dance With Me is not intended for use around the immediate eye area, and Dance With Me in the Disco Fever is this one here, the deep matte blue. Now obviously I did wear that in the eye look. I didn't experience any staining, I didn't have any irritation from it. I believe that this is probably because it's classified as a pressed pigment and there are certain rules around that, specific to the US as far as I'm aware, but at any rate, I wanted you to have that warning. So that is on the back of the Disco Fever. On the back of the Melissa Quad is the same warning, and then it says that modern, extravagant, and dominant are not intended for use around the immediate eye area. So that would be these three shades here. So again, I'm guessing it's because these are pressed pigments. Again, I have worn these shadows on my eyes before. I haven't experienced any irritation, no staining, no issues to report on whatsoever, at least for me. So with these, there are pressed glitters in there. So the Melissa Quad has two matte shades here. This is more like a metallic foiled shadow, and then this is the pressed glitter. I will say, you'll see in the application, I am wearing the pressed glitter obviously on my eyes today. I didn't use a glitter glue because I've found in using these quads that I don't have to, and yet I still get really good wear time out of these glitters without them falling on my cheeks or moving all over the place on my lids. Now the glitters will transfer up on my lids, like you can see it already up here and over here as well, and that's because of the nature of my eyelids. I have hooded eyes, so unless I only apply like a tiny little strip of glitter, it is going to transfer up. That's just the way it goes. So I never really look to that as a point of concern when I'm talking about glitters or shimmery shadows in general, simply because it happens no matter what shadow I wear. I don't think it speaks to the shadow itself. For me, it's just that that is in constant contact as long as my eyes are open. So there you have that. Now in the Disco Fever, there are two pressed glitters. So you have a matte shade here, a more foiled shade over here, and then the two pressed glitters on this side. This one up here is more like a gunmetal-y kind of shade with a bit of a blue undertone. It's called All Night Long. It has a very similar formula to the one in the Melissa palette, and it's smooth yet glittery. I don't really know how to describe it. It's not like it's suspended in some sort of base. It's not sticky. It doesn't like move around too much in the pan. It picks up really nicely. If I do like a swatch, you can see that it lays down those glitters really evenly and nicely. It has a good deep base pigment to it. These shades are just really easy to use, and whatever that product is, the binding agent that it's suspended in, that works. I don't need a glitter glue with this one and the one in the Melissa, like this guy. They just apply really nicely. I don't have to spend a ton of time like evening it all out or anything of that sort. However, then we go over to this one here. This is called, oh god, it's white lettering on mint background, so it's really hard to read. It's called Cocktail. This one, it feels a little bit drier to me in the pan. It looks a little bit grittier in texture, and then applying it, it just doesn't have the same smoothness as the other one does. It's totally workable, but there's very little of that base pigment. I find that this one, I do have to work a little bit harder to even it out. I mean, it's beautiful, but this is one that causes me a little bit of hesitation in terms of applying it to my eyes. Notably, neither one of these glitters is classified as being unsafe for immediate eye area on the back, just the matte navy blue is. But this one in particular, this one causes me a little bit of concern. I would definitely use a glitter glue with this one just because the formula is a little bit different. All right, I may as well swatch everything for you because there's only 8 shadows in total. I did go ahead and swatch the metallic shade here, and then this is that matte navy blue. This shade is stunning. It is so deep and rich. Obviously super pigmented, and yet I had no issues blending it out. As you'll see in the tutorial, I guess we'll call it, I was a little concerned at first because there's no light matte shade, so I was worried about transition and all that kind of thing. Going in with a light hand and a fluffy brush with this navy, no problem at all. It's buildable, we'll put it that way. You can sheer it out just by picking up a very little bit of product and blending it on the eye, but then you can also get this fully rich saturation over here as well. As dramatic and gorgeous as Disco Party is, this one is equally dramatic, but I've worn this one to work and not felt overdressed. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch these ones for you as well. All right, so here we go with the Melissa Quad. Oh, that was a little bit janky, but you get the idea. Like, these shadows are so pigmented. They're so beautiful. And again, you can see just how evenly that glitter applies. Like, it's not splotchy at all, which is often the complaint that I have with pressed glitters. It's just beautiful. And again, this really deep shade over here blends out so nicely on the eyes. This isn't a quad that you have to work forever just to blend things together and make it look less patchy. There's no patchiness whatsoever. I just think that this is absolutely stunning. I have worn this pressed glitter on my lid to work, as I said, and it's been totally fine throughout like a 7-8 hour work day. I am super impressed, and if you can get them on sale, I've seen them as low as $5 each. So much the better. But even at the full $10 for each of them, I think it's definitely a bargain because the shades are so nice to work with. All right, so having said that, let's get into the eye looks. Here we go. Okay, so I'm starting off with this really deep matte blue shade. It's called Dance With Me, and I'm applying that in my transition area with the Sigma E35 tapered blending brush. I just picked up like the tiniest amount of product and then spent some time blending it out just so that it was as light as it looks here. But then when I go in with the next brush, which is the Volair EO3, you can see that the pigmentation of this shade really does build up very quickly. This brush is a little bit more densely packed than the E25 and has a little bit more of like a concentrated area, so it really does help to pack the pigment on. And then, as you'll see in just a moment, I went in with yet another brush, another one from Sigma. It's the Detail Blending Brush, the E27, and I like how small and precise it is. I find that it gets into my crease really nicely, and then you will also see that I use the same brush to apply that dark shadow along my lower lash line, and then I also bring it up to connect to that winged out portion on my upper lid there. Then I'm going in and I'm going to be applying that shade called All Night Long, and I used a Rephr 02 brush for this. I don't think I needed to, but for some reason I did spray it with a little bit of MAC Fix Plus, but as I said earlier in this video, I did not use a glitter glue, and I had no problems at all with this one falling down on my cheeks. Although I will note that by the end of the day I did have some of the matte navy blue shadow down along the side of my nose and on my cheeks. Alright, now I'm going in with this more foiled shadow. It's called DJ, and I'm applying it with a Delium Golden Triangle brush, number 716, the smoky eyeliner brush, and just bringing that along the lower lash line, as you can see. And then I used a shade from Clionadh Cosmetics. It's the shade called Glow. I believe it's one of their iridescent multi-chromes, and I used that as my inner corner highlight, and I don't know which brush that was. I'm sorry. Alright, now on to look number 2, and I'm starting off with the shade called Dominant, and I'm applying that with a BK Beauty 201 blending brush. And again, I'm just applying it lightly. It is a lighter shade, but it's still deep compared to my skin tone, so I just used a light hand. And then I went in with the shade Modern, and the brush that I'm using here is from Bristles Beauty, and it is the E03 brush. And I like this one because while it's still a little bit fluffy, it is very small and precise. And so again, I just find that placing the shadows with this brush is really easy. So you can see that the placement of the shadow is pretty much the exact same as I did with the blues. Again, these are quads, so they don't really lend themselves to a ton of creativity, but I try. So then I'm going to go back in with that first shade. This brush that I'm using is again from BK Beauty, and it's the 202. It's just a little bit more tapered, but I'm using that to really buff out the edge of that deeper purpley shade. And then going in with the glitter that is called Extravagant, and I'm using a Delium 773 shading blender brush to apply that. This time I didn't use any Fix Plus on it, and again didn't use any glitter glue either. Then I'm picking up some more of that Modern shade and just blending where the edges of the glitter are, right? Yes. It's been a long day. Go with me. All right, and then into the foiled shade, which is called Perfectionist. I picked this up on one of the Beautylish brushes. They released them a year or so ago, part of their 420 collection, and just obviously running that along the lower lash line. And then using one of the Space Age highlighters from Kaleidos, which is called Mars Melter. That's the highlight that I'm wearing, and you can see that I'm applying that to my inner corner. Mascara, liner, and lashes. There we go. The lashes are the Kiss Magnetic Lashes in Tempt, and those are what I used in the blue look as well. All right, and there you have it, guys. Those are the two looks using each of these quads, and I think really with the tones that you have, you could mix and match as well and create some really stunning looks that way. I am so impressed with these. I mean, I have to say, I'm really impressed with Juvia's Place to begin with. I just find that their consistency of their quality from palette to palette just never disappoints. I haven't found that there's been any duds. I mean, typically there's not even a dud shadow, let alone a dud palette. So from that perspective, as a consumer, I really appreciate that because I know regardless of what palette I buy, I have a very good expectation of how it's going to perform. And thus far, with however many palettes it is that I have tried from them, which is a lot, like upwards of at least 10, I went and I depotted all of them, which is such a stupid move on my part. Like, I really regret doing that. I lost a lot of the shadows in the process, and I find for myself, once I depot things, they're basically in makeup purgatory, and it's really just step one of decluttering them. And I never meant to declutter my Juvia's Place palettes, so I really need to like make an active, conscious decision to bring out the magnetic palette. And in fact, I was so disappointed in depotting some of them that I went and I repurchased at least Nomad, because I love the color story of this one so much, and I did lose quite a few of these shadows trying to depot it. So that's just a little sidebar. This is about these quads, and these quads are definitely worth the $10 price tag. I think they're fantastic. Hopefully they will restock soon. I will link them down below. You can check them out, and if you're following them on social media, they may make announcements of when they do restocks, but they're constantly bringing out new products and innovating new ideas. So keep an eye out for these ones because I think that they are fantastic. All right, and with all of that said, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.